All right, so here's part 2 for SREB High School Ready Lesson 2.1a. All right, so next up, we're going to keep on going. We're going to talk about a fact. So to solve a multiplication equation, and a multiplication equation is just going to be an equation where we have something being multiplied to another thing. You have to divide. You're going to have to divide in order to simplify that equation. We saw that a little bit up here in this problem right here, example 5. We had to divide negative y by negative 1 in order to get our y to be a positive 1. So let's look at these examples. So right here, we have negative 7t equals 28. So keep in mind, anytime that we have a number right next to a variable, and there's no visible sign in between them, okay? So there's not a plus sign or a minus sign or a multiplication sign or a division sign. Anytime we have a number right next to a letter, just like this is understood to be multiplication. So I'm going to put that little dot there to represent multiplication. So negative 7t is the same thing as negative 7 times t is equal to 28. So in order to get t alone, we need to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. And the thing we're going to divide by is the thing that's being multiplied by it as well. So if we have negative 7 times t, to undo that, we're going to do divided by negative 7. Okay? And anything we do to one side, just like normal, we have to do the other. So we're going to divide both sides of the equation by negative 7. Now, when we do that, we get negative 7 divided by negative 7. Those will cancel out and become just 1, and so we'll be left with t. And so then over here, we get 28 divided by negative 7. So we know that 28 divided by 7 is 4, but when we throw that negative sign in there, 28 divided by negative 7 will give us negative 4. And so now to go back through and check and make sure we got our answer right, we'll plug it back in. Okay, so we'll plug it into the side of the equation that has the variable. So this will be negative 7 times negative 4. So we can type that into our calculator. Negative 7 times negative 4. And you can type it in just like that. You don't even have to write the multiplication symbol. If you write it just like this with the parentheses right next to it, your calculator is going to understand this multiplication. So we got 28 here and 28 here. So we know that t equals negative 4 is our solution. All right, next up, 5 over 9k equals negative 10. So once again, number right next to a variable, even with this number being a fraction, this is still the same thing as 5 over 9 times k is equal to negative 10. So in order to undo this, in order to get k alone, we need to divide by the thing that is currently being multiplied to k. So we have 5/9 times k, we need to divide instead by 5/9. Okay, 5/9 divided by 5/9 looks a little bit weird, but anything divided by itself is just positive 1. So we'll get k is equal to, now this one again, okay, might be a little bit hard to think about doing it by hand, so instead you're going to just type it in the calculator. Okay, now with this one, again, anytime that we are dividing by fractions, you want to put it in the calculator. Okay, you want to put it in the calculator. Okay, so we'll do negative 10. Excuse me, make sure I type that in right. Yep. Negative 10 divided by, open parentheses, 5 divided by 9. Okay, and so we should get negative 18 for our answer. Negative 18 for our answer. Okay, now to go back through and check, plug in negative 18. So 5/9 times negative 18. We'll type that in, put the 5/9 in parentheses, and put the negative 18 in parentheses. And we'll get negative 10 here, and we had negative 10 to start out with. So we know k equals negative 18 is a good answer for us. Okay, so anytime that we are starting with, we have a number being subtracted, we do the opposite of subtracting and add. If we have a number that is being added, we do the opposite of adding and we subtract. If we have a number that is being multiplied to a number, we do the opposite of multiplying and divide to get our solution. And then likewise, if we have an example where it's being divided, we would multiply. All right, last two problems. All right, so number 9, write an equation and solve. 1/3 of a number is negative 8.25. All right, so translating this phrase into a math equation. So 1/3 of a number. So anytime you see this whole idea of like 1/3, we know that that represents a fraction. And anytime we see 1/3 of a number or 1/4 of a number, that of means multiplication. Okay, so this is 1/3 times a number. 1/3 times a number, and we don't know what that number is. We're going to represent it with x. So 1/3 times x, or 1/3 of a number, is, remember, is means equal sign, negative 8.25. And we need to find that missing number. So we've got 1/3 times x. We want to get x alone. So if we have multiplication here, to undo that, we need to divide by the thing that we're multiplying by. Okay, so 1/3 divided by 1/3, that'll give me x. And then negative 8.25 divided by 1/3, when you type it into your calculator, put the fraction in parentheses. So we'll get negative 8.25 divided by 1 divided by 3. And this will give me negative 24.75. Negative 24.75. And that, once we go back through, we can check. We get 1/3 times negative 24.75. Okay, you'll type the fraction in parentheses, and you'll type in your potential answer in parentheses. Multiply back together, we get negative 8.25 here. We had negative 8.25 to start out with, so this is a good x value for us. All right, so this last one, they give us a problem that this guy named Luke worked out. But Luke made an error in his work, and we need to identify first what is the error, how do we fix that error, and what is the correct answer. So we see right here, he had x plus 3 equals 12. From here, he decided to divide both sides of the equation by 3, and then he deduced that the answer is x equals 4. Now, this is wrong, okay? This is not how we would work out this problem. We need to identify what he should have done instead, okay? So x plus 3 equals 12. That was the given statement that he had. So from here, the only way that he wouldn't be dividing by 3 would have been if the 3 was being multiplied to the x, because that division would have undone multiplication. But instead, 3 is being added to the x. So we need to do the opposite of adding, and instead we would need to subtract, okay? Subtraction will undo addition. Division won't. So his error, Luke divided when he should have subtracted. Okay, so that's the error that he made. So now we're going to fix that error. So x plus 3 equals 12. Subtract 3 from both sides. Plus 3 minus 3, they're going to cancel out. And so x is going to be left with just 9. And again, we go back through, check work. So we do 9 plus 3. We can type that into our calculator. We got 12 here. We got 12 in the original. So x equals 9 will be our answer.